Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Teacher Dong. And before we start, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for more videos. So for today, we're going to have quadrilaterals and the properties of parallelograms. So we just combine them. So first is we're going to have the introduction about quadrilaterals, and then after that we are going to talk about the first type of quadrilateral, which is what we call the parallelogram. So let's talk about quadrilateral. So the quadrilateral is actually a generic term for any four-sided closed polygon. So what do you mean by that? It came from the two words quadri, and lateral means four-sided polygon. Alright, so that's what we mean by that. Then for all we know, we are not only dealing with a specific type of quadrilateral. There are different types of quadrilaterals that we have to know. Okay, so for example, the one that you are seeing is what we call the tree diagram of quadrilateral. Alright, so guys, there are three types of quadrilaterals. The first one is kite. So what is unique about a kite? When we say kite, there are two pairs of adjacent congruent sides. What do you mean by that? When we say adjacent, these are consecutive sides. Just like what you are seeing here, these two sides are congruent and adjacent. It means they are consecutive sides. And then um, these sides are also congruent and consecutive sides. That's why it's a unique for a kite. So a kite is a type of quadrilateral wherein there are two pairs of adjacent congruent sides. That's what you have to remember when we are dealing with kites. All right. Now let's have the second type, which is a trapezoid. Guys, when we say trapezoid, of course, it is a four-sided polygon as well. But the thing is, the unique property that we can actually have for this one is that it has one pair of parallel sides. So just like what you are seeing, it has one pair of parallel sides. It doesn't matter if the other legs, these are what we call the legs, are congruent or not. But if the legs are congruent, we call it now isosceles trapezoid. It means the two legs are congruent. Okay, so what you have to remember about a trapezoid is that it has a pair of parallel sides. Okay, now let's have the third one. Actually, the third one is quite complicated because there are also three special type of it. So this type of quadrilateral is what we call parallelogram. So when you say parallelogram, of course it is a four-sided polygon wherein the unique feature of this one is that it has two pairs of parallel and congruent sides. Just like what you are seeing, there are two pairs of of parallel sides. So what do you mean by that? So when we say parallel, these are lines or segments, okay, that do not meet. So that's what mean when we say parallel. That's why if the two pairs of sides are parallel, so it means those opposite sides are congruent as well because of they are parallel. All right, so there are three special parallelograms that we have to take note. So we have the rhombus, wherein for a rhombus, there are four congruent sides. Then for rectangle, there are, when we say for rhombus, there are four congruent sides. As you can see, there are four sides that are congruent. Now, when we say rectangle, the unique about this is that it has four right angles. And then the third one is a square. As you can see, all the sides are congruent and it has also four right angles. The qualities of a rhombus and rectangle are in square. So we can also say that square is either rhombus or rectangle because of the properties. Alright? So, now, what are the other things that we have to know about quadrilateral? So the sum of the angles of quadrilateral or in any quadrilateral is 360 degrees. So it means that if you will be adding all the four angles, okay, you will be getting the sum of 360 degrees. If it's not 360 degrees, it means, okay, it's not a quadrilateral. And remember why it became 360 degrees. It's because we are able to form two triangles in any quadrilateral. So for each triangle, for all we know, the degree measure or the sum of the angles of a triangle is 180. So therefore, if there are two triangles, okay, in a specific quadrilateral, therefore, if you are going to add them, there are two triangles, 360 degrees, 180 times 2. That's why, okay, a quadrilateral has a degree measure of 360 degrees. Next, you can name a quadrilateral using the consecutive vertices. What do we mean by that? Let's say this is a kite A, B, C, D. So we can name this as quadrilateral A, B, C, D. Okay, D, C, B, A. When we say consecutive, the vertices or the letters of the vertices must come after each other. Okay, you cannot actually jumble them or what. So quadrilateral or kite A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A. Okay, it could be also B, C, D, A, B, A, B, C, C, B, A, D, C, D, A, B, or D, C, B, A, or D, A, B. So it's up to you if how are you going to name it. So in your examination, okay, so you will be asked on how you can actually name quadrilaterals. Okay, take note of that. Next, when we say parallelogram, so by the way, if you have any questions about the introduction about quadrilaterals, please don't hesitate to ask me. Okay, so no bad comments, please. You can actually send me a personal message if there are actually error while I'm discussing. Okay, so as teachers, we cannot actually avoid that. So if that's the case, please send me a direct message regarding that. Alright, thank you. Then for my students, you know how to contact me. Okay, thank you. Now, so let's have the first type of quadrilateral, which is a parallelogram. So it's not only about having two pairs of parallel sides. So there are also other properties that we have to take note about a parallelogram, like the following. Alright, so the first one, opposite sides are parallel. Okay, then the other one, opposite sides are congruent. So as you can see, if the two sides are parallel, so we can also say that the opposite sides are congruent. Okay, then the third one is opposite angles are congruent. Consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, so just like what you are seeing here, opposite angles are congruent. Angle A is the opposite of angle D. So therefore, we can say that according to the property, before it become parallelogram, it becomes a parallelogram, we have to take note that opposite angles are congruent. So we can say that angle A is congruent to angle D and angle B is congruent to angle C. You have to take note of that. Then number 4, consecutive angles are supplementary. So what do we mean by that? Consecutive angles are supplementary. So when we say supplementary, it's a term in geometry wherein when you add the two angles, the sum is 180 degrees. So consecutive means the other angle is after each other. Okay, so we can say that when you add angle A and angle B, you will be getting a sum of 180 degrees. So angle A and angle C, you will be getting a sum of 180 degrees. Angle C and angle D, you will be getting a sum of 180 degrees. And lastly, angle B and angle D, you will also be getting a sum of 180 degrees. That's what we mean when we say consecutive angles are supplementary. Now let's have number 5. Diagonals bisect each other. So when you draw two diagonals, alright, when we say bisect, there are congruent segments or congruent measurements that are going to be formed. Okay, just like what you are seeing here, if you're going to draw the two diagonals of a parallelogram, you will be able to form two pairs of congruent segments. Okay, so just like what you are seeing with the symbols. Okay, this segment AE is congruent to segment DE, and segment BC is congruent to segment CE. You have to take note of that. Then, that's what we mean when we say diagonals bisect each other. Next, number 6, diagonal divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So, if you're going to draw the diagonal BC, alright, so we can actually say that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle BDC. And then if you're going to draw the diagonal AD, we can now say also that triangle ABD is congruent to triangle ACD. So therefore, in a parallelogram, when you draw a specific diagonal, there must be two triangles that are congruent. Okay, so you have to satisfy these 6 properties for you to be able to say that a specific quadrilateral is a parallelogram. Okay, so if one property is missing, therefore we cannot actually conclude that it is a parallelogram. Now, if you're going to ask me what are the uses of these properties, we are now going to use these properties in solving for the unknown sides or unknown angles or maybe unknown segments in a specific parallelogram. How is it? So in your examination, before you can actually solve, you will have first to identify the property that you are going to use. Alright, so remember the 6 properties, and then okay, you will not get any wrong answers when you solve for angles and sides. Okay, now let's have the first example. Solve for the missing side. Okay, so Before we can actually solve this, since we are solving for the side AC and side BD, we have to use the property opposite sides are congruent. Why? Because as you can see, these are the two measurements that we have, and then we are looking for the measurements of AC and VD. So by applying opposite sides are congruent, so we can say that segment AC is congruent to segment BD. So we can say now that segment AC is congruent to segment BD. Of course, since we are also only using representation, we cannot actually solve for segment AC and segment BD without even solving the value of x. Okay? So how are you going to solve for the value of x? You need to substitute. So the value of AC is 3x according to the given plus 2 equals 5x minus 10. How did we form this one? So as you can see, class or guys, the two segments are congruent. So therefore, we can actually equate the two measurements or representations that we have, that 3x plus 2 is equal to 5x minus 10. Then by applying addition property of equality, we are going to combine the similar terms. What is similar to 3x? It is 5x. So the opposite of 5x is negative 5x equals, bring down negative 10, then opposite of positive 2 is negative 2. Alright, next 3x minus, this is a we are just going to apply some algebraic techniques that we had before in solving for this one. So 3x minus 5x is negative 2, x equals negative 10 minus 2 is negative 12. Remember, since we're talking about dimensions of a parallelogram or a polygon, we should not have a negative answer. So if there's a negative answer in the segment or angle, you have to repeat that. Alright, so negative 2x equals negative 12. We can apply here division property of equality by dividing both sides by negative 2 so that we can omit negative 2 and it will become 1. So cancel negative 2, we're going to have x, and then negative 12 divided by negative 2 is positive 6. That is now the value of x. But we're not yet done because we still have to use that value of x so that we can solve for segment AC. So which is 3x plus 2, and then the value of x that we got is 6. And then we're going to solve also for segment BD, and the value of x that we got as well, which is negative 10. So you have to remember the property that opposite sides are congruent. So therefore, we have to get similar measurements for this. Alright? So substitute the values. 3 times 6. It's better if you are holding calculators now and paper so that it's easy for you to actually follow the examples that we have here. So 3 times 6 plus 2. So 3 times 6 is 18 plus 2. 18 plus 2 is 20. So therefore, we can say that segment AZ is equal to 20. So we should be also getting 20 in the other one. So substitute 5 times 6 minus 10. Alright, so 5 times 6 is what? 30 minus 10. So segment BD therefore is 20 units as well. So as you can see, the measurements are equal. So therefore, we are able to satisfy the condition that opposite sides are congruent. So in this specific given, okay, that's the property that you have to use. Alright, so if you have any questions regarding this, especially to my students, okay, please make sure to contact me. Alright, so if you have if you actually see if you saw some errors, so please make sure to contact me directly. No negative comments, please. Alright, now let's have the other one. So I will be leaving this example to you for you to solve it. Just take a screenshot of it so that you can practice. It's the same as number 1. Okay, now let's have the other properties. Example 3. Opposite angles are congruent and consecutive angles are supplementary. So solve the missing angle wherein we are tasked to solve for angle A, angle D, angle B, and angle C. So the first measurements that we can actually solve are angle A and angle D. Alright? So opposite angles are congruent according to the property. So therefore, we can say that angle A is congruent to angle D. Substitute the values. Angle A, 2x minus 60 equals x plus 40. Then combine the similar terms, 2x minus x, at applying addition property of equality. Again, actually it's the same as number 1. So if you are actually following these the process, it's the same. Okay, so bring down 40, and then the opposite of negative 60 is positive 60. 2x minus x is x equals 40 plus 60 is 100. So the value of x that we got is 100. Now we can solve for angle A. wherein the representation is 2x minus 60 and the value of x that we got is 100. Then we can also solve for angle D, wherein it is x plus 40 and the value of x that we got is also 100. Of course, opposite angles are congruent. Now substitute the values. 2 times 100 minus 60. So 2 times 100 is 200 minus 60. So 200 minus 60 is 140 degrees. Please, since we're talking about angles, please make sure to put the degree symbol. Alright? So angle A is equal to 140. You have to take note as well that the other measurement opposite to angle A, which is angle D, must also be 140. Let's see if it is. So x is 100 plus 40. So 100 plus 40 is 140 degrees. So as you can see, they are the same. So we are able to satisfy the condition. Opposite sides are congruent. Now, how are we going to solve for angle B and angle C? Let's apply the second one. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So therefore, if you're going to add A and B, your angle A and angle B, the sum is 180 degrees. So if this is missing, you have to subtract 180 degrees minus angle A. Alright? So it's the same as here. So the sum is 180 degrees. Now let's solve for angle A, angle B, wherein it is 180 degrees minus angle A. So for angle C as well, it is 180 degrees minus angle C. So substitute the values. 180 degrees minus angle A, which is, we got it already, 140 degrees. So therefore, angle B is equal to 40 degrees. So that's the other answer. They must be the same because opposite angles are congruent. But let's see. So 180 degrees, the measurement of angle C is also 140 degrees. So after subtracting, you will be getting 40 degrees. Alright? So they are congruent. And then, one way of checking is that, according to our discussion in the introduction a while back, that the degree measure of a quadrilateral is 360 degrees. You can actually check, alright? So the four angles must be 360 degrees, so for us to accept them. Alright, so let's add them now. 140 degrees plus 140 degrees plus 40 degrees plus 40 degrees. What is the answer, or what's the sum that you got? Okay, very good. It is 360 degrees. So if it is not 360 degrees, you please make sure check the process. There might be something wrong in your solution. Alright? Now, let's proceed. So this is the same example as number 3. Okay, so I would like you to do it as just follow the process that we have done in number 3. It's the same. I will be leaving it to you. Now let's have number 5. So the other property is diagonals bisect each other. Solve for the missing segment. So we have to find BE, or segment BE, segment C, and segment BC. So this is segment BE and segment CE. When we say bisect each other, segment BE is congruent to segment CE as well. And then after computing for B and C later on, so we have to solve as well for BC. So we have to state the congruence now that segment BE is congruent to segment CE. It's the same process as number 1 and 3. So the next thing is substitute the values. Segment B is 3x minus 8 equals 4x minus 12. Then combine the similar terms applying addition property of equality, wherein we have 3x. Opposite of 4x is negative 4x equals negative 12. Just bring down it. And then opposite of negative 8 is positive 8. Then the next thing is 3x minus 4x is negative x equals negative 12 plus 8 is negative 4. So it's better if you, again, as I repeat, you can use your calculator so that you can follow easily, right? So negative x equals negative 4. So we have to divide both sides by negative 1, therefore the x is 4. So that's just the value of x. Now we can have segment BE now. So according to the question, we have to solve for segment BE. Where in segment B, according to the representation, is 3x minus 8 and the value of x is 4. Substitute the values. So 3 times 4 minus 8. So 3 times 4, 12 minus 8 equals 4. So that is segment BE. Then the next thing is we're going to solve segment CE. The representation is 4x minus 12 and the value of x is 4 as well, of course. So 4 times 4 minus 12 So 4 times 4 is 16 minus 12. The answer is 4 units as well. So because they bisect each other, or diagonals bisect each other, we can say that there are two pairs of congruent segments that are going to be formed as well. Alright? Now, so the next thing is BC, or segment BC. So for segment BC, just simply add segment BE plus segment CE. Alright, so BE is 4 plus 4. So therefore, segment BC is equal to 8. So that's the measurement of segment BC. As simple as that. So as you can see, what is common is from the previous example to this one, we are just simply equating the we are just stating the congruence, equating, solving for the value of the unknown variable, and then after that we can actually we are able to solve for the unknown measurements. Okay, so that's the last example. Now for your exercises, you can actually do the following the process that we've done. For number 6, we have to find for segment AB and CD. Just take a screenshot of it so that you can solve it your own. Alright, so for number 7, it's the same as number 3 and 4. Solve all the 4 angles, applying the properties. And then for number 8, solve for the missing segment. Just follow the process that we've done in number 5. Okay, alright, so that's it. Please don't forget to apply the properties in solving. Before you actually solve, you actually inspect the whole given or the representation so that you know the property that you're going to use to solve for the unknown values. Don't forget that. And these are the properties. Again, number 1, opposite sides are parallel. Number 2, opposite sides are congruent. Number 3, opposite angles are congruent. Number 4, consecutive angles are supplementary. Number 5, diagonals bisect each other. Number 6, diagonal divides a parallelogram into two congruent triangles. Don't forget to remember the following properties. So these properties will make up a parallelogram. Okay? So for my students, please do this one on your activity sheets, okay, using your books. Right? So thank you so much for listening or for being with us, for being with me today. Thank you so much to the followers, okay, to the subscribers that who are always watching my videos, and I really appreciate that you say that you are able to use these videos for the schooling of your children. So thank you so much for your support, and to those who are also sending personal message to me, thank you so much. So no negative comments. If you have any questions, or if there's something wrong with the solution that I actually shared to you, please send them directly to me, okay, on this YouTube channel, or maybe you can actually send a personal message to me. Right? So especially to my students, please make sure to ask questions. Right? So don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for more mathematical videos. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.